Right, so how can culture change things? How can art change things? How can cinema change things? And why, Isabelle Giordano, are you now launching this activity, Cinéma pour tous, cinema for all? We think that everybody has access to cinema. Everybody's watching films on their smartphones. Why do you have to go and bring them cinema? What's this about?
Because people sometimes don't go in the theaters. A lot of people, a lot of teenagers here in France don't have access to culture and to place where you can see movies. So Cinema for All is an association that organizes screenings for underprivileged teenagers in the neighbors of Paris, Lyon, Rouen, other cities also. And it exists for 13 years. And it's the proof that thanks to cinema, you can bring messages, important messages, values, and you can change the world, of course, because we are all here intimately. We know that culture and cinema can change the world. I like the way you said cinema activist. I like that.
Well, it is. I mean,
so, cinema for all. And also what I'm doing with the Pass Culture, which is a new right for also the teenagers, for the young people here in France. We know that the change, what we want to do, all of us here, we want to change the society. Of course, we can change with the climate, with all the challenges. But the change has to be cultural also. We have to deal with artists like Saype. He's doing amazing things in Instagram. So this is what we all want to do also. Change is also cultural.
And would it be far-fetched to say, because we get the feeling that culture is already accessible to all, would it be far-fetched to compare the access of culture today to sort of fast food, and you all are sort of gastronomes who are trying to educate people to art, educate people to culture? What do you think of that, Jean-François?
Well, if we are gastronomes, we are vegetarians gastronomes.
Ah, vegan even, vegan.
That's the change. No, I do believe that culture is very wide, and there's a place for superhero movies and funny movies and comedies and a lot of different type of movies. But we know that images can, just like Isabelle was saying, change the world. We know that content with a strong storytelling, whether it's documentary or fiction, whether it's scripted or non-scripted, can really improve the world we live in and really sensitize people to big issues in this world. But the key of the films we are doing, and a lot of people are now doing, which is great, is really to create impact. And to create impact, you need two things. You need a wonderful film, whether it's a TV series, whether it's a TV film, whether it's on Netflix, Amazon, or whether it's on a big screen in a movie theater. So you need a very good movie, well-directed, strong storytelling, incredible actors if it's a fiction. But then it's just the starting point. You then need a strong impact campaign to make sure that the people who see the film got information, then how do they act? So we need to give them the tools, the keys for them to, once they have seen the film, once they have been convinced, then they can act. And acting could mean several things. Giving money, giving time, giving a life career. Maybe a kid, 12-year-old kid, is going to see a movie and it's going to change his life forever, and he's going to become a biologist, a movie director of impact films tomorrow, or whatever, a scientist or a journalist who's going to really bring something to the world in the next decades or so.
And so Jean-François Camilleri is here. We were speaking before this talk, and I discovered that he was involved in a film that my 4-year-old son, Sasha, loves. And so I was wondering if such a film that you made when you were at Disney How does that have an impact on the world? This film from Disney Nature called Chimpanzees.
Yeah, so we produced this movie at Disney Nature, which I founded in 2008. We produced this movie in 2013. We shot in Ivory Coast, and it's really a documentary, and we did it with the Jane Goodall Institute. And funnily enough, 2 weeks ago, I was in Senegal at the border of Mali and Guinea, where the Jane Goodall Institute has a camp where they work on conservation of the last chimpanzee of Western Africa. And I went there with a big screen, a projector, and we showed chimpanzee to the kids of the villages around. There were 1,000 people each night in 2 different villages. And those kids live very near where the chimpanzee live, but they don't even know that there are chimpanzees there, or if they know, they think it's food, because they are being killed to be eaten. So the idea was to show the movie together with the JGI and make sure that thanks to the film, they would get the message that those chimps need to be protected. They are not here to be eaten. And what's interesting here is that 7 years later, 7 years after having produced a film, it still makes an impact. So what the beauty of movies is that on a time scale, it can work for ages. And in terms of geographical footprint, it can work in 200 countries in the world. So that's the beauty and the strengths of movies. And just to come back on something, I have 2 examples to give about how a movie can change the world. There's a documentary which was released in the US in 2012 called Bully, which was about bullying, harcèlement in schools. And thanks to this documentary, which has been shown to millions of people in schools, university and everything, the Obama administration changed a law or brought a law to make sure that bullying wouldn't be as bad as it was in the years to come. And another example in France, which is a fiction movie called Indigène, which is now 14 years old, directed by Rachid Bouchareb. And thanks to this film, Dominique de Villepin's government, under Jacques Chirac's presidency, changed the law of the fact that those 80,000 Algerian, Tunisian, and Moroccan soldiers who fought during World War II and didn't get access in any retirement money got, thanks to the film, access to that. So yes, movies can change the world.
Wow. And what I'm hearing in all of your professional trajectories is this desire when you take on a new job, a new professional life, to give more meaning to that life. And Saype is a street artist, a graffiti artist, and a few years ago, he's become a land artist, a nature artist. He makes these incredible paintings all across mountains. I really go see what he does on the internet and in real life, hopefully one day. And why did you make this transition, Saype?
Hello, everybody. But maybe I would like to show you a video to show for everybody what we are speaking about. So if you can send the video, it could be cool.
Right. Okay, and can you talk us through this then? Yeah.
En tant qu'artiste, je suis intimement convaincu que l'art peut être un puissant vecteur de communication et que par extension, il peut se mettre au service de l'humain. J'ai inventé un procédé de peinture biodégradable sur herbe qui me permet d'impacter les gens et la société sans impacter la nature. En 2019, je lance un projet d'envergure mondiale, Beyond Walls. Et l'idée, c'est de créer symboliquement la plus grande chaîne humaine au monde. Je crois profondément que c'est ensemble que l'humanité pourra répondre aux différents défis qu'on aura à surmonter. Et l'essence de ce projet, c'est d'inviter les populations à la bienveillance, de faire tomber les barrières géographiques, mentales, sociales dans un effort commun au-delà des murs.
Wow. So Saype, where can we sign up to join this human chain? Because he's creating a human chain all around the world, I believe. Where do we sign up?
Yes, but to answer the first question, I have to say that I started to paint when I was 14 by the way of graffiti. And I painted some trains, some walls, and then I thought that we are so exposed to visual pollution in our city, and everybody have a look on my graffiti. And the meaning of making art is to grab the attention of people. And I thought, if nobody have a look on my graffiti, I have to find a new way to impact people again. And at this time, I was reading a lot of books about ecology and Buddhism. The drone came in Europe, it was in 2012 about, and I thought I will paint on grass because I will have a lot of possibility. I will offer the culture for everybody, and I will be the only one to do it. And to make sense, I have to find an eco-friendly recipe. So for 1 year, I test a lot of pigment, a lot of recipe, a lot of technique, and I did some little square on the garden of my parents and look the evolution of the paint over time. And 1 year later, my recipe was efficient, I mean.
Wow. And what about this human chain? I really want to sign up for that. How do we do that?
I have just to speak about one project because it is this project who bring me to make this human chain. And in 2018, I was touched by an association who rescue people in Mediterranean Sea, was called SOS Méditerranée. And I saw people put aside their life to rescue other people in Mediterranean Sea. I was like so touched. I was a nurse before, and I thought I would like to do something for this association. And to understand the context, the boat of the association was blocked or stopped. The authorities stopped the boat from going at sea as the European Union removed the rights of the flag of the boat. So as a result, the association could not rescue people anymore. And in 2018, I did a project in the center of Geneva, and the project was seen by 120 million people all around the world. And something very interesting is that it's this project will bring Swiss Confederation to ask a new flag for the boat. So it's a beautiful example of how art can serve society for one time.
Bravo.
And then... Yeah. And then I believe that we live in a point of history where the world is polarizing and where the people are more and more turning on themselves. And I very trust that it's only together that humanity will be able to answer to the biggest challenge of our time, together. And the idea from this convention is born this idea to create the biggest chain in the world. And it's a project we start from Paris, as we saw. I forgot to put the picture, but we saw before. It's a project we start in June this year, and we pass through Geneva, Berlin, and Andorra. And for 2020, we will focus on Africa. And it's a project will last for 5 years. And the idea is to give a message of optimism and kindness to the world.
Okay, very ambitious. That's great. That's great. And Isabelle, I was looking into what your association does, Cinéma, tous, and I saw you were bringing the film Billy Elliot into all sorts of cinemas, all sorts of suburbs of big cities. How is that film received, and why do you do this?
Well, it's an example of the power of image. What he's saying is an example. This is another example. When I usually show this movie to teenagers, I'm in front of 200 teenagers, and I ask, what do you think about boys who want to be dancers, who want to do dance? I hear bad words and people are joking and say ba ba ba, c'est tapette, etc. I don't know how do you say that in English. But after the movie, when I ask the same question, what do you think about boys who want to be dancers? They have completely changed their minds. So this is just to say that we believe that cinema images can change the way you think, can change the habits, and can change the way we usually think.
Absolutely.
And I would like to add that things have changed since Al Gore movie. It was very powerful. But the impact has increased because we have more and more images, more and more access to images, more and more information right now. So people like Al Gore, but also Leonardo DiCaprio, Marion Cotillard, Mélanie Laurent, and so many others. And also in the young generation, Julie Gauthier, that you will hear, they are really, they have a big power to make that change.
And Jean-François, as a socially engaged producer responsible for this wonderful film last year, which would translate in English as Tomorrow Belongs to Us, L'avenir est à nous, and you're working on Walking on Water this year, how are attitudes to these kinds of film changing over the last 2 years?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that Demain est à nous will be screened tonight at the auditorium at 8:30 p.m. So come and see it if you haven't seen it yet. It's a great film, and I think that the beauty of this film is really about the fact that those kids who do incredible things for their community, they inspire other kids to do the same thing. And what's interesting is that many kids, most kids, don't even think about doing things because they think it's for the adults to do it. But when they take control and when they decide to really act, then they can inspire others to act. And when the film has been shown in France in September, October, we actually witnessed kids who copied, in a good way, one of the French kids in the movie who sell his painting, and with the money go and feed homeless people. And in many cities in France, we saw kids doing the same thing. So it's really about the chain that you're talking about. It's really about Cinéma, tous. That's the reason why I think it's great for all of us to be here. The movie can inspire other people, and then it make a big worldwide chain, giving ideas about what could be done.
Great.
Cinema is part of education.
Great. And so to finish, what would be one thing that each of you would advise for all these people here to do now? What should each of us, just one little piece of advice of something practical we can change now? Who wants to begin?
At the theaters, go and see movies, and go and see people that are not like you.
Very good. Jean-François?
Listen to what Isabelle just said.
Very good, we will. Saype?
I love one citation, and maybe it's something like I think every day. It's something like, our life and our action are vowed to become traces of our presence in this world. It is up to us to know what to do with.
Great. So,
and change is also justice, social and equal opportunities. There is a very interesting booth, L'Ascenseur, that fight for those values, and it's also part of the change.
Right, so after these talks, we can all go see L'Ascenseur. And now I hear there's another room near here where they're clapping very, very loudly, they're applauding very loudly, and I'd like you to applaud even louder for Isabelle, Jean-François, and Saype so they can hear it. Thank you so much.